Greetings! In this video I'll be painting an Assault Marine from the Red Scorpions chapter. This chapter was requested by a few viewers, and I've used some custom printed parts to help with the Red Scorpions aesthetic. Some disclaimers are in the video description about those. I've gone with a Mark IV body to represent the Red Scorpions during the Badab War, and customised it by putting their chapter armorial on the torso buckle, like some of the references show. The power sword is meant to be similar to an old Forge World Mark IV upgrade set, with a handguard and the unique shape, though it is in practice a downscaled Tartaros power sword. With the assembly finished, I primed the model black and was ready to start painting. Starting out with Mechanicus standard grey, I base coated the body armour. I did 2 thin passes, getting nice coverage while not obscuring details. I left the power pack, weapons and pauldrons, as they'd be painted a different colour later. Now onto the yellow bits, starting with Averland Sunset. I blocked in the trim for the pauldrons, a stripe on the helmet, and an angled stripe on the left knee to serve as the base for the company marking. I tried going thin with the number of coats, trying to avoid the powdery finish that yellow and white paints can get sometimes if you put them on too thick. Next, I used some Yriel yellow to brighten up the Averland Sunset, reaching the colour I was looking for. Now to continue blocking in the base coats. I used some Black Legion, having run out of my Abaddon black paint, to paint in the power pack, the pauldrons, and any undersuit details. Moving over to the chapter armorial, I used Ulthuan grey to paint in the white background present on the symbol. This was repeated again for the icon on the torso as well. Next was Mephiston red, painting in the cables on the power armour, the rear half of the Tigris bolt pistol, the scorpions as part of the chapter armorial on both the pauldron and the torso, and finally the eye lenses. Now onto Evil Sunz Scarlet, applying edge highlights to those red bits to give them more definition. Focusing on the eye lenses for now, I used Wild Rider red followed by Lugganath orange to build up a glowy highlight, centered towards the center of the face. I briefly went back to Wild Rider red to clean up where I went a bit over with a Lugganath orange, before switching to Dark Reaper and then Thunderhawk blue to paint in the front section of the Tigris bolt pistol casing. These two were applied as a base coat and then an edge highlight, similar to how I did the red. At this point I applied some gloss varnish to the knee pad, the abdomen and the right pauldron, and then applied some decals off camera. These should mark him out as a member of the 7th Squad, a close support squad, in the 2nd Company. Now for some metallics, starting with Gunmetal Grey. I painted in the sword with this, as well as the molecular bonding studs, the bolt pistol chassis, and the various metal details on the power armour and power pack. I followed the dark silver with dura-aluminium, a lighter silver, highlighting all the previous metallic bits by dotting the rivets and applying edge highlights to the more sharp surfaces. Continuing with metallics, I switched over to Retributor armour to paint in the tiny gold details, namely the power sword guard and the trim for the chapter armorials. At this point I went back to Mechanicus standard grey to clean up any mistakes that I did, and to apply some scratches and edge highlights to the black painted power armour bits. Dawnstone was next, applying a similar set of edge highlights and scratches over the grey armour. Rhinox hide followed, dotting little bits in the scratched areas from the previous step, hopefully giving a deeper battle damaged look that reveals an in-universe primer. Finally onto some black enamel Paneliner now. Applied like a wash, I used this over most of the model to deepen the recesses and add a general grimy filter to the Mini. It does look very strong when you first apply it, but it's not as strong when it dries, and it ties in nicely after the matte varnish too. I tried to avoid the white recessed section of the chapter armorials, as this effect would darken it too much. With the paint job done, I applied my usual basing method, painted the base rim black, and then sealed everything in with some ultramatte varnish. And here we have it, an Assault Marine from the Red Scorpions chapter. I think this one came out nicely. It's not an easy scheme to do, making grey look like a material other than plastic can be difficult, though I think the effects I did are convincing enough. Figuring out what markings to do though was a bit confusing. The references I used were from the Imperial Armour books, but one selection says the knee markings are for squads, and another says it's for companies. The only reference other than these two shows a guy from 3rd Company who's also from 3rd Squad, so that one doesn't help. I went with the knee for the company marking though, as the veteran squads have squad numbers on their pauldrons, whereas the other references didn't have both set of numbers. It's confusing, but here we are. Adding to that, I didn't think what kind of Marine this guy should have been when I built him. So it's an Assault Marine without a jump pack, or at a spoiler if he was from the Legiones Astartes. But anyway, that's all I got for this video. Hopefully my voice is back to normal next time, and hope you stick around for that video.